Hello, and welcome to Finder and Keeper, the podcast, a podcast for the woman who is on a journey of finding herself and keeping herself. I'm Ashley, and I'm your host.
You know, there comes a point in your life where the table you've been sitting at just doesn't feel the same anymore. The conversations sound different, the energy overall feels heavier, and you kind of start realizing that maybe you have outgrown the table. And that realization is not always comfortable, and it's not always going to be graceful, but it is necessary. Today, we're talking about outgrowing the table, what it means to evolve beyond the spaces, people, and patterns that once fit you perfectly that just no longer fit. Because the truth is, growth rarely happens in comfort. It almost never happens when you are comfortable. And sometimes the next version of you can't sit where the old you once sat. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how sometimes when you are surrounded by like the same people doing the same things, having the same conversations, and it just hits different? Something inside of you has shifted, but it shifted quietly. You're kind of sitting there thinking to yourself, something just does not feel the same anymore. You're listening, but you're not connecting. You're showing up, but you don't feel seen. You're there, but you're not really there. That's usually the first sign that you are outgrowing a situation or you're just outgrowing something in general. It's not that the people are bad. It's not that the space is toxic. It's just that you are craving something deeper. Your soul is craving something deeper. And maybe you've healed in areas that others just haven't yet. And you might be starting to dream bigger, and that can scare people who think small that are around you. Or maybe you're just ready to be around conversations that feed you more instead of draining you. Think about a time when you felt that shift, when something that once brought you so much comfort just starts to feel kind of heavy. That is the growth that's talking to you. And it's normal for us to, for a while, kind of fake it or force it. You'll tell yourself, like, okay, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm being distant, and you'll shrink yourself down so you can kind of fit the mood, the conversations, the dynamic. But it's something about shrinking that just does not last. Like, let's think about it. If you take one of those packages, the bags that will vacuum seal, stick with me for a second, okay? You will put, let's say we put all of our winter coats in there, all of our blankets, everything. We stick it inside of that bag. We take the vacuum hose and then we just suck up all the air. And you keep going until the bag just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Eventually it's going to bust. The more you keep sucking out the air, making it get smaller than what it should be, it's gonna bust. And all of that bigness inside is just gonna come out. It has to come out eventually. And you might not even notice it. You might put it up in a box and then you come back and check on it and it's busted open. And that's really the thing about outgrowing situations, is that it's quiet. You don't even notice it. It doesn't make an announcement. It comes in moments where you're not expecting it. And those moments you'll just look around and realize, yeah, I've changed. And it's not that you're judging anyone else, you're just acknowledging your own evolution. And that is perfectly okay. And it's perfectly normal to feel like you are outgrowing a situation. But I can say all of these things, but let's be real, it's not easy to leave a table. It never is. Even when you know it's time. And the reason being, it's because when it's time for you to leave that table, it means letting go of comfort. It means you could risk loneliness for just realignment. Oftentimes, we've probably stayed at tables we've outgrown merely just because we're afraid of being misunderstood. We don't want people to think, oh, we've changed too much, or we think that we're better than. And that's not even the situation, because growth is not equivalent to arrogance, Like, growth is just awareness that this certain situation that I'm in is no longer fitting me anymore. And that is perfectly okay. You can love people deeply. You can love people deeply and still know that they are just not meant to come with you in every season. Everybody has a season, and not every single person is supposed to be in every single season. And the truth is, some tables cannot hold who you are becoming. Girl, you are too big for some of the tables that you're sitting at. There's not enough room for you at that table anymore. And it's not because they're bad tables. They're not bad tables. They are just tables that were only meant to be for who you used to be. Just take a second and think about, what are we afraid of walking away from? Is it comfort? Is it validation? The history? I know oftentimes history, having, long friendships, long relationships, anything that has time to it is very hard to walk away from. But you have to understand when you aren't feeling seen anymore. You have to think about, what would happen if I stopped sitting where I didn't feel seen anymore. Because eventually, when we are sitting at tables that no longer fit us, that no longer have room for us, at some point we're going to start starving ourselves. I know personally I've had relationships, friendships that got to a point where, I just did not feel like it fit me anymore. And that was okay. That was perfectly okay. But it was an uncomfortable feeling. And of course, there was definitely loneliness in those seasons of leaving those tables. But it is a feeling that we have to go through. It is an uncomfortable feeling. You will feel it in your body. You will feel it in your body. But it's natural, and it's something that we all have to experience in order to truly outgrow situations, people, jobs, relationships, anything that no longer serves where we are meant to be going. And it is perfectly okay if at first you feel lonely. The silence after leaving the table you sat at for years, it's going to be loud. It's going to be loud, girl. Expect to hear it yelling in your ear over and over again. You'll probably question yourself. Not probably, you will question yourself. And you might even want to go back, even if it's just to feel something familiar. But if you can sit in that in between space, like the space between where you were and who you're becoming, you'll start to feel that peace again. And it's not going to happen immediately, but eventually, because peace will follow alignment. It always follows alignment. And when you finally decide to follow that peace, follow that alignment, something beautiful is going to happen. You are going to finally realize that you don't need an invitation to sit anywhere new. You don't need an invitation at all. You can build your own table, honey, if you want. Go ahead and go to the supply store, the hardware store, get them tools. You can build your own table. You don't have to sit at a table that does not recognize you, that makes you feel unseen. You can build your own table. And when you start showing up as your healed, aligned, evolving self, you will attract the people who want to do the same thing. You'll start having conversations that truly feed your soul, that really feel like they are nourishing you. You'll start creating spaces that really reflect you. Who you are now, not who you used to be, the person that you are now, not who you had to be to survive, the person that you are now. And that's the beauty of outgrowing a table. You don't lose yourself. You don't lose yourself. You find yourself. You remember that you were never, ever, ever meant to stay in small spaces just so that you could feel accepted. So I want to invite you to ask yourself this one thing. Well, these two things. I have two questions for you that I want you to ask yourself. What kind of table do you want to sit at now? And what kind of energy do you want to experience around you? What kind of table do you want to sit at now? And what kind of energy do you want to have around you? Really think about that. Because the truth is, every time you outgrow something, it's proof that you are evolving. It is proof that you are healing, you are becoming better, and evolution is going to require a release. It's going to require you to let go of those tables that you have been sitting at that are no longer serving you. You cannot grow and cling at the same time. You cannot grow and you cannot cling at the same time. You've never seen a plant that grows straight up but it's still clinging onto the soil. It's impossible for a plant to do that. Look at yourself as the plant. When you build a new table, you give yourself permission to be fully seen, to be surrounded by people who are challenging you, but in healthy ways, who will celebrate you, who will match your energy and not drain you. And eventually you will look back and realize that leaving wasn't a loss, okay? It was an alignment. And that's what we are working on doing, getting in alignment, being at peace, outgrowing tables that need to be outgrown. So if you've been feeling disconnected, distant, or like your seat at a certain table just does not fit anymore, take that as a sign. Not that something is wrong with you, but that you are growing. And growth is going to require room. You don't have to apologize. You don't have to explain why certain places do not feel right anymore. You don't have to explain that. You're allowed to want more for yourself. You are allowed to want more for yourself. And I'm going to say it again. You are allowed to want more for yourself. You do not have to apologize for evolving, because you're not meant to stay where your soul feels small. You're not meant to stay there. You're meant to create spaces that reflect who you're becoming, not who you were, not who you used to be. It's who you're becoming. And sometimes that starts with outgrowing the table. So take a moment after this episode. Think about what you've outgrown and what you're ready to grow into. And when you're ready, get up and go find that table. Build the table if you have to, but make sure you are at the table that is meant for you. I'm Ashley, and this is Finder and Keeper.